All right, howdy folks. Welcome to stream number 2 of Alwa's NES Awakening. My name is Paul. I go by InfiniteNesLives online, and we are converting PC game Alwa's Awakening to the NES. So last time we finished up and we had this first screen running. And we had issues with the background. Well, not the background, but the entirety of the resolution on Alwa's Awakening on the PC. We could only get it to basically 4 times native resolution, so taking screenshots wasn't really an option without post-processing the images. And I reached out to Elden Pixels and asked them if there was an option to change the resolution. They actually went ahead and sent me the majority of the background map here. There we go. So with this guy, our resolution is going to be the native resolution of the NES basically. And we have the whole map. There's some of these sprite characters in the way of some of these things, but we won't worry too much about that. For now, this cuts out gets a lot of things done for us. And we have the whole map to overview to be able to see now. So if we come in here with our 1 pixel wide brush, everything is exactly one. Every pixel is a pixel in the bitmap. So this will more easily allow us to import, convert these files over to the NES screen tool and other tools. So we also, to recap, some of the things where we had some thoughts on some of the issues that we had last time. So previously we were working on we're torn on what to do with the heads-up display here. And we can't, so 16 pixels is the first meta tile row, and that's not really enough. The overscan could cut off as much as 8 pixels. I did a little bit of testing on my own CRT, and everyone's different, but in the center of the screen, I was only losing like 1 pixel, maybe 2. But in the corners, I was losing not quite 8. I was losing more like 6 or 7. I didn't lose anything on the sides, and on the bottom, I actually lost like 9 in the center here, so even more in these corners. So when we look at some of these screens over here, there's a good chance we're going to lose half of this vine area here, which isn't necessarily a big deal, but as far as the screen planning goes, if we want something to be visible, and we kind of knew that based on the NES guide, what they tell us to respect as far as let's close out all my other Firefoxes here. Hopefully I don't have issues like last time. Some process was hogging all my CPU, and that's why we timed out and stuff. So I'll try to keep a better eye on that. But I uninstalled the thing that was giving us problems. Yeah. So the safe zone, or the danger zone, is saying the top and the bottom 8, and that's pretty much true. The other, we're not really going to have a whole lot of room right here for the zone. You can see here in the original, it's Forsaken Valley. Forsaken is 8 letters, and we have room for 8. We got 10. So, you know, we could abbreviate some things. The other idea is if we have these basically 3 high, you know, it wouldn't be the standard character tile set, but we could create our own squash tile set to fit in there. And we may want a separate, so when we do our horizontal split for the heads up display, we could also bank switch into a different background tile set. So that really shouldn't be that big of a deal. It's gonna cost us some tiles for, some of these are gonna be sprites anyway. But the other idea I had is we don't necessarily need all 3 of these. You can't see them here because I haven't gotten far enough in the game, but first thing's a block, and then a bubble, and a lightning bolt, and it gives color to whatever. Scroll the names. Retro USB is asking. Yeah, scroll the name. I'm not sure what he's asking there, or what I said wrong. But one idea to give us more horizontal space would be just 1. We don't necessarily need to use all this. The other thing is it's not very common in NES games to have these outlines on the heads-up display. Maybe we could just have one big rectangle, which would probably still look okay. But anyway, I had played with the idea of trying to push this up to being one attribute table, 16 tiles high, but it's really not going to look that great on CRT. So we're kind of stuck with that. So it's saying scroll the text inside the box. Oh, yeah, that's actually an interesting idea. I hadn't thought about that. So, and we could have it Forsaken V and stick on that, and then every few seconds scroll past and show the valley. So that'd be one way too. But it would probably scroll, not smoothly, just letter by letter, chunk, kind of like a 7-segment display or something like that. Yeah, or shorten it to effing valley. That'd be so. Yeah. Yeah. Anyway, so I also was playing around with some ideas after the stream of being like, well, because we had the issue where these blocks, the bricks underneath the wooden platforms need to be the same palette because it's the same attribute. One idea would be to basically put the attribute split, basically move all these up 8 pixels. But that gets even messier because now the background needs to be that same palette too. And I mean, maybe that's possible. We could have some sort of like shadow. I mean, it could almost be black necessarily. We could play with it. The other thing that I didn't even pick up on, some of these details, if you look, there's like a down shadow. So that's another tile that we don't really have, but looks something like this. That's wrong. Must have been this one. Oh yeah, it was, because we had the darker gray. Anyway, so there's some extra details that I missed. I think that, yeah, these are even showing up under here. Anyway, so I want to, at least for the time being, I want to get 2 or 3 screens done. That way, the next step we can get into the code. Probably won't do that today, but next time, and we can load up some of these screens, get our sprite 0 hit, which I have never messed with before, but do a sprite 0 hit and scroll vertically into the next screen and scroll horizontally into the next screen. The other thing that I realized, we struggled with the idea of changing palettes between screens, how to handle that. To some degree, redesign the game, you probably wouldn't put that in there, or when you make these big changes from a screen like this to this one, I don't know how necessarily big of a change it's going to be, but some of this brown palette still in there. If this tree palette is similar to this, maybe it's not that different, but this blue, now purple, probably. It's going to be hard switching into there, but the other thing is it's not just the palettes, obviously. We have the background tiles too. So if this, depending upon how our tile consumption goes, and we have not just, part of the thing is this whole map. So we have these dungeon areas. Maybe we'll go ahead and take some notes on some of the different areas we have to work with. So we have the outside area, which is where you very first start here, and this other area, the Forsaken Valley. We also have dungeon area, which is still part of Forsaken Valley. And I think the map that they gave me here doesn't necessarily tell me what all these things are called. So I'm not going to be able to, I don't remember what they all are, but we have this castle, orange and blue. This blue and green, and then we have this blue and gray. I don't know. It might not actually be that bad on tile consumption, because so many of these areas are the same bricks, just or close enough. I guess they're not using the same bricks, but who's going to really remember that? Anyway, what I was trying to say is one area may be using a different set of background tiles, which we also need to try to scroll between, but that's not going to be easy to do. We can only really change out the background tables in one bank switch. So unless we could set it up to where each area fits in half of background name table, and we would get a little bit more of a budget if the top status bar uses, if we're doing that bank switch there, we'd get some extra background slots there, and we could have the current area using half of the background name table and the background for the next area using the other half. So anyway, it's not just palettes, but kind of the idea I had that we'll see when we play around with it, but we can maybe it'll just fade from one color to another as it scrolls, and instead of one just quick change, we can move along the palette spectrum to the ones that we want, or go through a gray transition or something. But anyway, let's go ahead and so we have this area saved as screen 2. Yeah, it might mask the change, and even if it's not invisible, it wouldn't be making it so it's not abrupt. I think would be visually okay, or even look nice possibly. So we do. So this big map they gave me does have this grid numbers, but just gonna boot up Alwa and see what they. I forget the room naming system. Shut the music down here. This one I've got the most open. So the amber celeron. So, they don't actually have a numbering. They say orbs 07. They have them named, so they don't actually have a numbering system in game. So we can adopt theirs. So this, I called it screen 2, but it's actually 313. And we'll save it as 312 for the next higher screen. Yeah, and Russia used to be saying, has anyone done a fade while scrolling? I think that'd be pretty cool. And I'm not really aware of anything. I was mistaken about BattleKit. I forgot to go look at myself and see what I might have been thinking about was in BattleKit 2 for visual effect between screens, and it wasn't in the first one, but okay. So for this next screen, and the more I deal with this, I think I'm going to try to spend some time with tiled, because I doubt that I'm going to be able to stand NES screen tool for designing all of these screens. So we're gonna lose a vertical. I still kind of like looking at the one that I made just because of the split references, but we don't really need this one here. A better way to arrange my screen. So the ladder's coming up from the bottom. And then we have wood platforms. Oh, I got in the wrong spot. The other one that we didn't do. It's not that hard to have. Is our little broken X. Crack in the drywall or whatever this is. Gotta make sure we line it up with the try to for now. So yeah, as I'm doing this, I didn't think it was going to be the way to go. But looking at these things and trying to think in meta tiles is not an easy thing to do. And none of these are really like we want, but I think we're going to be redoing this in tiled anyway. But this way, if we've got a couple screens that are working, the big question in my head is how tiled works as far as exporting the maps. I don't. NES Screen Tool has nice export in RLE encoded format. I don't know. I have to look into it because I just don't know. But what little I've played around with it with CPP Chris's getting started with the NES project, there wasn't any compression, and I think we're going to want it. Anyway, I'm gonna call this one probably good enough because it is close enough. The platforms aren't the same, but it's not that much different than the screen below it, except the holes in the bottom to the top. So we'll save this screen 312. And then we're going to want some more tiles for some of these background features. I was going to try importing some of these to from the artwork that I got from Elden Pixels. So this is going to be 4:13. I think I'm still going to want, it's going to be somewhat of a manual process. But we'll play around with it to get a better idea. The main thing that becomes an issue even when the resolution's proper is the palettes. So let's export tile as a bitmap. The F-in Valley, Forsaken Valley, tile bitmap. And if we open this guy, in Paint, how many colors is this guy? I don't know, this is going to tell me. Okay. 16 color. I just want to save as, but I don't know if that was default or... Oh, I think that might be right. 16 colors is kind of what we want, because that's kind of what we have. So let's try to copy over some of the raw tiles. See what happens when we re-import. So it's an easy one. Let's just try the ladder. That's a broken part that I didn't get. Yeah. And I'm wishing I had my grid. So we're gonna have to up our skill set with. That doesn't look right. Is this the... No, that's not the right file. Here we go. Yeah. Okay. So if we try to import one of these broken or copy it over. Import bitmap as tile set. Yeah. See, the problem is we lost some of our color depth by adding colors that weren't in the original, or well, I don't know exactly what NES Screen Tool likes. Oh, but hold on a second. Save as bitmap. Yeah, 16 color. What if we reopen this guy? So in NES Screen Tool, re-imported this. This red became gray. And it combined. This gray became black. And it combined this gray and this brownish when we look in the 16. So let's open. We're gonna have to dig into I want to open this with a hex editor so we can look at the raw binary data. Maybe. Oh, shoot. Program files. Stupid Windows. It's a shortcut. I think it's just in here. There we go. Okay, let's take this guy. And check out the bitmap file format a little bit here. So we've got some header information. And then pixel grid array. And the file offset to paid pixel array. Yeah, BM. Byte offset. So it's a 16-bit value, the signature BM. File size as 4 bytes. And then we have I don't know what this is. Big or little. Anyway. See if we can figure this out. So we got 32 bytes reserved. Or 4 bytes. 32 bits. And then offset right here. So it's saying 76. So 76 is our first byte of data. Looks like that. So the least significant bit appears, or byte appears to be first. So a little Indian. So I think that's our first byte of data. Now 16-bit color, or 16 colors total. $256 colors is a byte, but oh, here we go. Where? Okay, so 16 bit per pixel, but that's not. Here we go. So we're 4 bits per pixel. 16 distinct colors. Whatever we... Yeah, this isn't going to be very fun. I think that starts at the bottom left. So let's just change one of these nibbles. This is really our... So one nibble is supposed to equal 1 byte or 1 pixel. See if we actually modified anything. Hey, look at that. So we were right. We changed this bottom pixel to white in the hex editor. So anyway, we might because we have this source data, but this is the one they gave us. But if we save this guy as a bitmap, let's do a 256 first. Lose our transparency, that's fine. Well, that's interesting color, purplish. Instead of a gray. I almost kind of like how it looks. This one. It's probably not going to look good. Whoops. Not that. This. Yeah. Anyway. So this is, we let Paint convert it to 256 colors, so a byte. Could do some experiments with importing to NES Screen Tool. I don't know how valuable that is if we're going to be going to tiled anyway, but if, as far as creating our tile files, our tile assets, I like being able to mess around with them in some sort of graphic tool. Paint's probably not the best, but as far as planning purposes and moving things around, I like being able to do that. Or if we want to modify anything, we want it in a visible YYCHR. I'd rather not have it in there in the NES format. I'd rather have it be in a bitmap format, but we might be able to, it would be convenient to be 256 color, because then 1 byte equals 1 pixel. And as far as conversion tools go, that would be simpler. Let's do this. Let's open. I think we already have it open in Paint. So if we resave this, it was 200, it was 16 colors, so nibble per pixel. But if we save it as a 256 color bitmap, how does that look in binary form? So I think now our offset start is going to be at 436. So I think that's our first pixel now. And if that's right, then it basically sign extend. I mean, let's just test it. Oh, I probably didn't save it right. Didn't save it as bitmap. I'm gonna kill Alwa. Sucking up half my CPU for some reason. Streaming has got me wanting to get a better desktop for the first time in a long time. So that was glitching on you guys. Hopefully it's better now. All right. Open that guy. Yeah, looks like we did it. Anyway, basically the idea I'm trying to go for here is converting these files to bitmaps. I think NES Screen Tool is only accepting of I don't know how it makes its color choices, but if we gave it bitmap files with only, I don't know, I've done this before and felt like it was less of a pain, but it was more manual. I think if there's less questionability if we do it on 16 color. Yeah. I don't know what to do there. think about that. Let's see here. Maybe let's just move on. Come back to that thought. Yeah, see, we lost, or no, we didn't. And I don't know. Part of me feels like if I spend less time writing tools and more time manually copying over some of this pixel art, then I'll be a slightly better pixel artist for copying their work, which is far superior to mine. So we're making some tool to do some conversion, which I don't really find very fun. Maybe just doing some jam sessions of manual conversion. I don't know. I think about it because I think when I've done this in the past, I went through and I copied these over, but then I by hand painted all of the pixels in the first 16 palettes of the file. There was some graphics tool I was using that I was doing that with. And it made the conversion easier. Anyway, let's open. I don't think we saved it as 314, but really it should be 4. Let me change the X. So what we called screen 2 was 13, 313. So it should be 413. Instead of 314, so 413. I don't know. Part of me says some experimenting isn't worth streaming, and part of me says it is, but if I don't really know what I want to do, then and I'm learning tools, I have a hard time putting it up here. So once I have a clear path, and maybe I'll come back to it. But the other thing I was thinking about was I might optionally stream more than once a week. I might do something at a different time, like Sunday mornings or something like that. And maybe those wouldn't be as, if I'm just grinding through some manual stuff, then maybe I'll sit down and do it then when there's other weekend stuff not going on. I want to stick with the Wednesdays, but if I feel like doing something on a weekend day, then maybe I'll do it. But this guy, I'm gonna do some of this ground pixels here. We can really blow this up. That's as far as she goes. Okay. Yeah. My patience with Microsoft Paint is trying. And that might be some of what I do when I want to work on this on Sat or Sunday mornings or whatever, is spend time with my own testing out and learning some of these tools, and then when I'm actually doing the work, I can bring that into the stream. But this is definitely not the way to do it, because sitting here, I can highlight to see my grid if I'm copying this art over. But in GIMP, I'd be able to show the grid and even show the individual pixels, even if I was. And it's very possible that GIMP would even do some of what I want to do. Oh, that's actually black. I don't know. Doing this makes me want to go back to trying to convert it, so I can't really make up my mind. But I would like to maybe for now I'll just do this sloppy and have something to put there. Because some of the things I want to start getting into the some of the code and seeing some of these ideas. The other thing that I'm curious about is how much we need in terms of how many tiles are we working with, what our actual budget is we're going to have, what's reasonable and what's not, because that's going to dictate how we handle some of the screen transitions and stuff. If we're massively out of tiles, or if we can't store tiles from two different areas, then maybe we can scroll between screens in the Forsaken Valley. But if we go to a different area, that if we have to change our background tile set, then maybe we do a full fade in, fade out or something. And that wouldn't be as big of a deal. But anyway, I don't want to try to make too much for graphical decisions without having a better idea of what we actually have for a budget and stuff. So, or what we want. Anyway, so that's what some of I'm wanting to try to focus on some of these graphic things first, but it was last time we just did this dungeon and it didn't take that long because we didn't really have that many different tiles. By getting to some of these other areas, and it's a fair number of tiles that we're working with here, especially when we start getting into these trees and this fence, the spikies, this background situation, different kinds of blocks, different kinds of ladders. So maybe I broke that. It was just a dummy session anyway. So this one's good. 313, 312. We also have these books and stuff like that in the similar type areas, but I don't know. And jumping around. Paint is really not gonna. There's a specific one. I don't know. I don't want to sit here and download different stuff right now. So right now we got 2 screens, and we could really 2 screens is enough to test some of our code and stuff. If we want to get into scrolling and just sprite 0 hit, we're gonna want. I want to get the basics of vertical scrolling working between 2 name tables, and then horizontal. As far as mappers go, we're gonna need something with mirroring control. I want to use CHR RAM. Let's see. My console too. I need to find better. I don't like regular one. For whatever reason, sometimes when I resize it, it dies. Let's just start playing some code because I don't feel like doing anything else. I'm going to be using as a starting point my the presentation I did at Portland Retro Gaming Expo last fall. I did a little how big is this? $86 megs. Take 5 minutes for my computer to copy that over. It's painful. Yeah. My streaming is probably not going so well either. I don't know if my computer can handle this. Let's not that one. I think it. I don't know where I went now. There, maybe it's this one. Yeah. Dropbox is not helping me. So this is what we want. Stupid. If I can't stream and copy paste 86 megs. Without killing my computer. Then I don't know what the hell I'm doing. So make sure we can actually build this. Yeah. The little celeron that could not. This is bad. Well, man. Yeah, it's not gonna fly. So yeah, we built it, but this computer cannot handle doing all of these things. I don't know how far I'm gonna struggle through this right now with this setup, but let's see if we can. So we got our ROM built, and our timestamp is this evening. I think. So let's see if we can. My background palettes is a import here. Let's load our first screen. 313. Export palettes. Put code to clipboard. C data to clipboard. So there's our palette imported into C, and we need to import the tile set, and we also need to import the name table. This screen1.h must be my name table. So name table, save name table and attributes. Type RLE packed as C header. And I think that's what I have this set up to take. We'll just save over the top. So graphics screen1.h. Where? Source graphics screen1.h. Oh, I think this is the wrong graphics file. There's two different ones. Yeah, source, because it's a header file. Let's call it what it is. Oh, 313. So there's our name tables, and then export patterns, save CHR, and this one's in the graphics folder. Tiles, I think it's this one. I have to look at the make file. big are these? These should be 4K. Make this and wait. This is bad. Like 20 seconds to tell me that I have an error. Couldn't find my file. Why not? Source, graphics. What's not there? Where did I put it? I thought I did. Yeah. I'll figure something else out. 25 seconds to figure out that I don't have a file. Name table. There it is. Must have been the wrong spot. Maybe it's not the right. Yeah. It's the wrong folder. Oh. No, I'm running from the wrong folder. Dang it. All right, so source. Save there. And our CHR was probably wrong too. That was the one that we didn't. That gave up copying. So maybe now we'll actually get a file, a build. Kill that guy. Unidentified scramble screen, symbol screen 1. Yeah. So next time, gotta get a better computer going here. I have a laptop that's pretty decent I could set up, and I use it for this first stream. But there's no Ethernet. Use Lauren's laptop. She's got an Ethernet. I don't know if I want to hassle with that, but probably do for some period of time until I decide what I want to do. Okay, so we got to build. Let's see. Do we actually make something? There. Take it as a win for getting something done. So we actually have an NES ROM with some sprites that are unrelated to Alwa's Awakening, but yeah, it doesn't look like our palettes copied over like we want them to. I don't know if I'm going to suffer through compiling that again to change them, but we actually built an NES ROM. So I will, I think I'm going to call it early night tonight, for lack of knowing what else I want to do. But we did accomplish something. We have an NES ROM, and we found another severe limitation in my setup here. I thought this computer's going to be able to hack it, and it can stream and mess around with graphic assets, but ask my computer to compile something as simple as an NES ROM, and it dies. I don't know if it was actually timing out for you guys. My CPU is at 100% or not, but I can't wait 25 seconds to find out I misnamed something. I will. I'll link in. I'll put this on YouTube like the other ones, and I'll link those presentations that Portland loaded up on their YouTube channel. If anybody wants to see those, I basically spent 90 minutes or so coding this up at Portland, and we had a mini little game, and so I'm using that as kind of a starting point of the tool chain in C, and so I'll link to that if anybody wants to watch it, but figure out so GIMP, so now we actually have the background assets in single in native resolution with single pixel per pixel. I want to figure out what I'm going to do as far as that, importing those actual things. Because figuring out how I want to do that, I don't think I can handle doing that live. So I'll tinker around with some different tools and figure out something that works, and then as I'm chipping away at it, it'll probably be easier to watch, but I don't even know what I'm doing. I have a hard time doing it with you guys. And something that's not a 10-year-old celeron now. Anyway, yeah, so I'll figure that out, and we can get going. We've actually got an NES ROM build now, so got something good done today, and we'll take that for a win. But whoops there. You guys have a good night, and I don't know if I may still decide to stream something Sunday morning-ish. I don't know. I'll try to announce it beforehand if I do. It kind of depends upon what's going on this weekend, but those streams, if I do them, it's just going to be because the night before I feel like doing it and getting up a little earlier than everybody else in the family and doing stuff instead of sleeping in on Sundays. But so maybe I'll do that if I feel like it, and work on that, and we'll try to come back with some good progress. You guys have a good night, and we'll catch you next time.